In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
You be seated. No slave can serve two masters. This is a very human thing. And there's a temptation because there are actually two foci in today's readings. One about even if you are called by God does not mean that there will not be corrective action. Hence Jeremiah. Even Timothy reflects that a little bit. But I want to talk about the gospel. And much of this I have to thank one of my fellow Episcopal bishops, the Bishop of Georgia, Frank Loeb, who, if you want to hear his sermon on his take on this, you can find it in today's Sermons That Work. This parable talks about a guy who, he's serving this master, but who does he really serve? Who's he really serving? It's not a rhetorical question. Serving himself. More particularly, his love of money. And what money can do, give him position. Everybody knew he was squandering the rich man's wealth. He was spending it on himself. He was enjoying life. Now, mind you, this is a time period where most people lived in relatively small villages. Don't think Billings, think Glencoe. Glencoe has more of the traditional size of the villages of Israel at that time. Everybody knew that he was squandering. So when it finally comes to the rich man's attention, who was, of course, not connected to that which he had stewardship over, he's getting ready to fire the guy. Show me your accounts. Well, everything's going to be laid bare. So this is what the steward does. And this bent, it's like, this Loeb's right about this. Is he goes to each one that owes the rich man money, who he has probably been extracting interest and everything else out of these people who owe the rich man, a debt of some product. And he goes to him and says, so, you owe him 100 bushels of wheat. Let's make it 50. Now, mind you, the steward is still employed by the rich man. Therefore, he still has the authority to do this. And so he goes around everyone, and everyone's, of course, this is great. Because the steward still represents the rich man. We got it in writing. So really, this is not the parable of the dishonest steward. This is really the parable of what the rich man has to do. So you're a banker in a small town, and your vice president has changed all the books. And this is your bank. This isn't like a branch that's owned by somebody else. So this is like Stockman's in my own city, where it started, where some of the family still lives. Here's the conundrum. change contracts that were changed by somebody who he had given authority to change the contracts. You're about to lose a boatload of your assets. What do? Do you change it back? How do you think the town's going to, this rich man does have to live in this town at least some of the time. If he changes it back, how welcome do you think he's going to be at the local brew? You think he's going to be welcome? Probably not. I mean, this parable fits in Montana. We stand by our words, even when somebody else represents our words. Oh, no, he was all wrong. Yeah, that does not work here. So he's going to have to honor all of those contracts for him to stay in good graces with everyone else. So what's happened is, even though most of the people, the debtors, kind of knew what was probably about to happen, the fact that the rich man says, oh no, I will honor these contracts, the rich man's reputation is now improved. His wealth is not, but his reputation is improved. And here in Montana, which is more important? Reputation. So this is not the story of the dishonest steward, but the wise rich man. And that's why he praises the guy. I mean, he's been caught in a corner. The steward is definitely, he's not going to let the steward continue to squander his wealth. But he's put him in such a situation that he really can't kick him to the curb either. Now, what does that have to do with our faith today? We are stewards of all creation. It says so in Genesis. By our very actions on this earth, we affect the earth greatly in our human population. Have done so for some time. Now, granted, if you're out hiking and you bump into a grizzly, you're not going to believe those words. But overall, we really have. I go out in the garden, and I'm looking at, there's some native weeds, and then I go, where did you come from? Oh, I came from Russia when we brought the wheat machines, and the seeds were stuck between the tines. You're making my soil bad. That's a tough one. So we affect all of creation. We do not own creation. A lot of times we do act like that. We don't own creation. We're stewards. And have we been honest stewards? As a human race, not so much. I look at all the work that we're having to do to reclaim clean water that our ancestors thought was an infinite resource. The battle that we have outside of Livingston, where the ranchers who are trying to be good stewards, but they have the most limited resource in this state is what, besides labor? Water. As Swede, who is a smoke jumper and worships at St. James in Dillon, taught me when I first arrived, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. Stewardship. There's a part that would suggest, because we as a species, individually, may be different, but as a species, we've not been the world's best stewards. We have a mixed history. In theory, we could be called to an accounting and say, well, you can't be my stewards anymore. But that's not how God acts. If we love just wealth, but that dishonest steward loved, we got problems. Because that means we cannot fully love God. If we truly understand that we are stewards of God's creation, then wealth takes its proper place, which is not first. Now, I will warn you, if you're really trying to live into that, two things are going to happen. One is in our American way, which is also the Canadian way, which is also the English way, which is also the South African and China's way, where, okay, we say we worship God, but really, we like money because of everything that it can provide. The illusion of safety, the illusion of influence, the illusion of health. The people here in the room have lived long enough to know that it really is an illusion. If you're in a place where everyone decides, well, like turn of last century Russia, those who had all that wealth, where are their families now? All taken away. Somebody else wanted that illusion and took it away. But what the world cannot take away, your true wealth is. The one that we squander not through ignoring, but by sharing radically, is the love of God. And here comes the other problem of when you start worshiping the love of God and not money first. Because you meet people who have a huge debt. Oh, you're homeless. Instead of saying, well, I got mine, you go get yours. Bethlehem Lutheran helps with simple things like showers. Works with Family Promise to give people a safe place to sleep till they can get back on their feet. Not everybody agrees with this action. And if you're active in either ministry, you're going to bump into people, because I have. I used to be on the board of what Family Promise used to be called Interfaith Hospitality Network. And I've had some people, when I was a layperson, get in my face going, well, why are you helping them? They got themselves in their own situation. They need to get themselves out. But that's not what we do. And then that challenge of, with both congregations that worship in this building, we welcome all. Does that mean you welcome people who are immigrants and you don't know what their immigration status is? Yep. Do you welcome people who love people that are not heterosexual? Yep. Do you welcome children? Yep. And as soon as they're old enough and can carry a wooden cross, we even put them in the leadership.
Even before.
preach with parishioner hanging on the hip, because that's where she wanted to be. She helped. When you act like the rich man and honor people's reduction of debt, not everybody's going to agree with you, but God will. We are children of light. That happened at our baptisms. Not everyone likes our light. And that's okay. Let your light shine. Understand that we have been given gifts that we do not deserve, and we are called to share them radically. If we were to give an accounting of our own lives, the negatives would probably outweigh the positives. But Jesus balances it out. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even just balance it out. He wipes that whole thing out. That debt that you owe, I'm not even going to make it half. It's gone. And therefore, that's what we are supposed to do with